Okay, so welcome to your contact center agent training today. On my screen, what you see here is your Elevate application, which you should be familiar with already. In the top left corner, you'll see that there is a headset icon. If you don't have that, let us know. We'll make sure we get that applied for you, but you should have it. When you click on that headset icon, you're going to see what is currently on my screen. It says, "Are you ready? Join as agent." So simply just click the Join as Agent button, and that will log you in as an agent. Now, Jeremy, I'm not 100% certain if you have the force to available turned on. I believe in this demo account there is. So in your top right corner, you will see your status when you first log in. So currently I am in a not ready status, and you will see that there is a timer counting how long I've been in that status. So in this demo account, the force to available is set to 1 minute. So at 1 minute, it will automatically change to available. Otherwise, I can manually at any time click the go available button or select from the drop-down options in the list here. So your options are available, accept internal calls and busy on break as what you're currently familiar with. And again, under this line here is your custom statuses activities that could potentially be added. To log out of the contact center, you'll go to the sign out, leave contact center, which will log you out of the CC portion of the Elevate app. So I'm just going to let it hit to the 1 minute, and there it goes automatically changing to available status. You'll see now that I'm in available status, there is a go on break button, so you can easily quickly toggle between the two statuses if you need to step away for any reason. That if it's just taking a quick break or even just grabbing something like a coffee quickly, you can click the go on break button. And you'll notice every time you change that status, the timer will reset and keep track of that there. So what you see on the screen here is your queues that you have assigned to you. So again, this is a demo account, not your actual queue. So you'll see it'll have the queue names listed here. The type of queues, I believe currently you're only using voice queues, not email or chat. So in the future, if you do, it'll say if it's an email or a chat queue. The interactions column will tell you how many calls are waiting in each queue, what the longest wait time is under the wait time column, how many agents are logged into each queue, and then how many agents are available. So right now I'm the only agent signed in, and I am currently on a busy and break status, so there's 0 agents available. So in here you also have the queues exceeding wait threshold. So this will tell you how many queues are exceeding a wait threshold, if any. So this will change to the number of queues, not how many calls waiting, but how many queues are exceeding. And it will also change to the color red. So visually, you'll be able to see if calls are waiting longer than they should. It will also tell you what the longest wait time is, and then what the queue that has the longest wait time. So in the event that there's more than one queue, you can see which one has the longest wait time. You can also view exceeded only queues. So if there are calls waiting too long and you click on the exceeded only, it will show any queue that is exceeding those wait thresholds. It'll tell you the queue name, type, etc. in this section here. Any questions so far? So in here, you can see right now, currently we're looking at my queues. You can also go to my stats. So this is your own personal viewing that you see here. You'll see your total time spent in the different statuses as you change throughout the day. It will tell you how many calls that you've handled, how many calls you've transferred, and how many calls you have missed. So if you are currently using the Elevate application for your soft phone and are familiar with using this icon over here for making outbound calls, in here you would normally go and make your outbound call by enter the phone number here. While you're logged in as a contact center agent, you will make your outbound calls from here by clicking the dial out button right here. Okay. When you click on that button, you'll see you have a field here to enter a phone number or search for a contact within your directories. So you'll see it defaults to the all. The all covers these 3 tabs here. So anything within these 3 tabs will be listed under the all. So your contact center tab here is any entries that you might have in your contact center phone book. So if you're already using your contact center phone book that you have in your existing contact center application, this is what those entries are here. The agents column is any agents that are currently logged in at the same time. Will show you who's logged in. It'll show what status they're currently in as well. And then the company is anybody that's part of your company directory. So you can search for somebody in here. I'm going to search for Anita. As I start typing somebody's name, it's going to filter and show in bold the letters that I type. So it's going to filter anybody in those statuses, so you can see there. So you can either just search for somebody or enter a phone number. Okay, so if you enter a phone number to call, you can click on the number and then click on make call. You also have your caller ID option. My mouse just cut out on me. Hold on one second. Okay. You can change your caller ID if you have additional caller IDs. It will use your defaulted caller ID that is set up in your account. And if you do have additional caller IDs, you could select from them in the drop-down list. So when you're going to make your call, you'll click on make call. You'll see it shows up in the top here with this orange call bar across the top. It shows me I'm currently calling this phone number right here, and I'm going to answer that. Okay, so once I'm connected on this call, you'll see my call bar across the top. Now, again, if you are familiar with using the Elevate application as a soft phone and you're normally dial out using this calling icon right here, your Elevate call bar will be the color blue if you are using this calling option here, or if you receive a direct call to your direct line, your call bar will be blue, but any contact center calls that you make or receive in here will be in this color orangish yellow. So you'll see it currently shows me that I am on a call with this number here that I dialed out to. On the right where your status is, it will show you that you're currently busy on a call. And in the bottom left corner, you'll see your current Elevate status in here. It shows the little do not disturb kind of symbol. If I click on my settings and go in here, you'll see it currently shows that the agent on a call. So there is a present sync between the contact center, the CC and UC within this application. So anytime you are busy as a contact center agent, it will update your status as an Elevate user, so you won't receive additional calls directly to your line. So some of the icons in here, you can mute, you can put the caller on hold. So when you do so, you'll see that the banner changes color, and so does the symbol. You have a keypad, so if you have to enter any additional digits, extension, or something like that, you have a keypad option. You have your transfer icon, your add call icon for a conference call, and your end call button. So I'm going to show you how to transfer a call. Very simple, click in the transfer button here. It is going to look pretty much identical when you made the outbound call with your directories in here. One of the differences, if you had multiple IVRs, that you could transfer to a different IVR. So in the event that somebody called in or you're speaking to somebody and they want to speak to a different department, you could transfer there. Keep in mind that this is an outbound call that I made. So I'm also going to show you the outbound call on transfer on an incoming queue call and how to transfer to a queue as well. So there are a couple little differences there. So now, if you want to transfer to somebody within your directory, again, you can search for that person, or if you're going to transfer to a phone number, which I'm going to do, just give me one second, grab a number here. You can enter that phone number into the destination field and click on that option. So when you're going to do the transfer, similar to what you've already been doing, you have the option of a cold transfer, which will just transfer the caller and hang up, or you'll have the warm transfer option, which will put your caller on hold while you call your third party. And you could have a conversation. So I'm going to call my third party. Once I'm connected with the third party, so you'll see here, this is my third party number that I called. This is my call bar across the top, and you'll see this is my original caller over here that is on hold in gray. If I click on that, I can see that original caller, and if I need to go back and forth, toggle between the two parties, I can resume this call, and it's going to put my other call on hold. Okay, so if you needed to go back and forth before you transfer your caller, you could do that. Keep in mind, at no time can you have all parties on the call together using a transfer feature. So if you have to transfer a caller to somebody, but you wanted to maybe introduce them, you can use a conference feature, which will show you that as well. So you could use a transfer if you just want to do that transfer. So it's not necessarily a cold transfer, it's a warm transfer where you can speak to the third party, but you can't have everybody on the call together. Okay. Also keep in mind when you are on a call, so I have some calls on hold here, can resume this third party person. puts my original caller back on hold. You can always go back to your home screen right here. This is your home icon. So you can keep an eye on your queues. Okay, so if you are in a call and there are calls waiting, exceeding the wait threshold, for example, you can keep an eye on that as well. So once you're ready to complete your transfer, you're going to click on the complete transfer icon here, and that is going to transfer your original caller and disconnect you from that call. So you'll see now that I have made the transfer, that that call bar has disappeared. My status currently says busy wrap up, and there's my timer counting. So if you have your force to available turned on, your status will change back to available when that time is up. But you can always click on the close and go available button at the bottom here. Okay, or you can select from the drop down if you need to change your status to something other than available. So maybe it's your scheduled lunchtime and you want to select lunch so that you don't receive an incoming queue call, you have that option as well. I'm going to go back to available and I'm back to my home screen. Any questions on the outbound call? Okay, excellent. So I'm
Yeah.
going to put myself on a break. Do you have a question? Yep.
No, I don't have it. I don't have a question. I just want to make a point of clarification. We do have forced classifications on a lot of these calls.
Okay,
So
yep.
you have to classify calls. That previous screen that she was on, the call details, that's also where you're going to be able to enter in your classifications. So it's going to be automatically right there for you to enter in a little bit more streamlined way than you're used to.
Want to give me a second? I can add that in on this account. It actually should have been, which was odd. Maybe it's not checked off on the outbound call. Let me just double check that on this account. Okay, so I'm just going to turn them back on. I see that it is turned off currently. Just give me 1 second. I'll turn that back on. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to actually sign out and back in. We can have that updated there for you. Okay. Okay, so not liking that. 1 second. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make a test call to the queue. And I'm going to keep myself in a busy status so that you can see what it looks like when the call comes in and is waiting in the queue. Okay, so bear with me. I'm just going to make a call. Okay, so I'm calling the queue and I'm listening to the menu options. Apologize, my computer is slow. Can I just ask those that are on camera if you could go off camera? It just slows down my computer, unfortunately. Thanks. Okay, so I'm listening to the hold music and you'll see that the call has come into the billing queue right here. So it shows one interaction right here. It shows my wait time, and because I am the only agent signed in and not in available status, this is going to wait in this queue until I go available. So I'm going to give this some time so you can see what it looks like when a call is waiting for an extended period of time. Okay, so once it goes past the wait threshold, you'll see that the queues exceeding will change to 1 queue. Okay, there it is there. So it shows 1 queue is exceeding the wait threshold and the queue is the C billing queue. If I go to the exceeded only, you'll see the again, the queues that are exceeding the wait thresholds there. So once I go available, this incoming queue call is going to ring to me as the available agent. Okay, here comes the incoming call. I'll be able to see up in the top corner, this is a caller ID, name and phone number. This is the queue that the call is coming in on. And if there's any additional call information, it will display in this bar here. Okay, so once I answer that call, I'm going to be connected on this call here. Just give me a second, I have to mute, I get feedback. Okay, so there we go. So this is an incoming queue call. Again, you'll see I am currently on this call in the billing queue. This is your classifications here that you will see. So you've got the call details. So if there's any additional details, you've got your home screen here that you can keep an eye on your queues, and you have your classifications here. So you could complete your classifications while you're on the call by selecting your options here. You'll see where it shows client type, for example, says optional. Main subject is optional. Interaction notes is mandatory because whatever configuration is set up, it's mandatory. So depending on what I select here, it could change to optional, etc. So you can complete this at any time, like you might do today. But if you do not complete it, you'll see at the bottom, if I don't complete it, I'm just gonna go back to none for now, and you can see what happens when I don't complete it, okay? So you have the same icons available, your mute, hold, keypad, transfer, and add call. So I'm going to show you a transfer on an incoming queue call. So the difference between the outgoing call that I made compared to the incoming queue call. So when I click the transfer option, you'll see that there is now a tab that says queue. So if somebody called in, maybe needs to, called into the wrong queue or needs to speak to somebody else in a different department that you are not part of that queue, you can select the queue option here. Now, a couple things to keep in mind is when you're transferring to a queue, if you select a queue and you see this warning, the queue is unattended, it is strongly recommended to use a different one. Do not transfer. It says complete transfer anyway. Problem with this could be that if there's nobody logged in and you don't have any options for that caller to get out of the queue unless they hang up, that caller is going to listen to your hold music messages, etc., indefinitely because there's nobody there to answer that call. Okay, so you can change your destination option, you can cancel the transfer, whatever option you might use for your business practices, but I recommend not transferring to a queue that's unattended. So if you select a queue that has agents signed into that queue, it will look like this, and it will give you the option to complete the call. So when you are transferring to a queue, you do not have a cold or warm transfer option. It's just going to send the caller into the queue. Keep in mind, it will put the caller at the end of the line. So if there's already 10 people waiting in line, this caller that you're transferring is going to the end of the line when you transfer them, okay? So when I go to complete call, it is going to transfer. You'll see my call bar has disappeared and my classification pops up. I am currently in a busy wrap up status. So if you have mandatory um, mandatory classifications, you'll see at the bottom, I don't have that option to click the button to close and go available. Okay, so because I have to complete my classifications. Now, because these ones are optional, I don't have to select anything, but it does require me to add notes. So you'll see now that I've added a note because that is the only mandatory field currently in this classification. I now have the close and go available option here. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so I am going to put myself to a lunch status instead of go available. So I completed that call. Now you'll see there is now a call waiting in the sales queue. That is the call that I transferred. And because again, I am the only agent logged in and I am not available, this call is waiting for an available agent. So once I click go available, I'm going to receive that call that was transferred to the sales queue. So you'll see in the top left corner, again, you'll see the caller ID, name and phone number. And now this is the sales queue that this call is currently waiting in. Once I answer that call, again, I'm connected on this queue call right here. And you'll see again, there's my classifications, everything the same as what we just had. Any questions on that, transferring or receiving those queue calls? Okay. So to do a conference call, you have your add call button here. So you can use this as a normal conference feature, but you can also use this as a warm transfer where you might want to introduce your parties on that call together at the same time before you actually drop off that call. So you can do the add call feature. Okay, so again, you can enter phone number, search a destination, person, etc. in here. Okay. And once you make your call, it's going to put your original caller on hold just the same as the transfer does. Okay, so here's my original caller on hold while I'm calling the third party. So once I'm connected with the third party person here, I'm currently on the call. You'll see my status shows me again, busy on call. And now you have a merge calls button. Okay, so I'm currently talking to my third party person. I have my original caller here. If I need to go back and forth between the two parties before I actually connect them together on the call, I have that option there. Once you are ready to bring all parties on the call together, you're going to click merge calls. And now we currently have 3 attendees on the call. So you'll see right now it shows 3 attendees. You'll see you have an attendees option here. So you can see who is currently on this call. You'll also notice that you have the add call button still, so you can add additional people if you need to on this call. So you'll see here you have your original caller. It shows the original caller's caller ID here, where they called into, and the queue that the call was in, because this was a queue call. And this is your third party that you're conferencing in. So at any time, you can remove your third party from this call if you would like to. But if you're using this as a transfer, a warm transfer, where you wanted to bring everybody on the call together before you disconnected, all you have to do is just end your call. So by ending the call here, I am removing myself from this call, but it does not disconnect those two parties. So they will remain on that conference call together. Okay. So I'm going to end that call, and those two parties are still connected. I have my classifications, so I just need to add in my notes as mandatory. I can select my other options if I choose to do so, and then I can close and go available. Any questions? Okay. So I'm also going to show you the callback, what the callback looks like when it's coming in. So I'm going to put myself on a busy on break, and I'm going to make another call to the queue, but I'm going to select the callback option. Okay, so I'm just in the queue. Now I'm selecting the callback option. Okay, so I've just left my callback number and it is now registered. So now you'll see that there's no call waiting in the queue because I selected the callback option. Okay, so once I go available, the callback is going to ring to me as the available agent. So I'll show you what that looks like when there's an incoming callback. Okay, so here's the callback coming in. You'll see in the top corner, instead of having the caller's name and phone number coming in, it shows you the caller's callback number that they left. It tells you that it's a callback. It shows what queue the callback was left for, and it tells you to pick up the phone. So you're going to answer that like an incoming call. Once you answer that, you're going to hear the tone on your soft phone of ringing to the number that was left for the callback. So currently in my ear, I hear ringing tone, calling that number back. So now I'm connected on that callback. It still shows me that it's a callback and this is the number. So if you're already familiar with using the callback feature, you'll just, once the person answers on the other end, just let them know you're returning their callback, etc. Are there any questions on the callback, answering the callback? Okay. And lastly, what I'm going to show you, so as I mentioned before, while you are logged in as an agent, your status as an agent will override your Elevate status. So you'll see currently I am available as a contact center agent. You'll see in the bottom left corner, my settings, it shows me agent available. If I change to any status in contact center, it's not changing. Busy on break, maybe. Should be updating. I'm not available. It will change
Always
your
happens.
status. Maybe it's delayed.
Always
Always
happens when you're
happens.
training people.
Always, absolutely always. Maybe
Yeah.
because I need to update it. It's probably waiting. It should be changing that I'm not available right now. But likewise, though, if you happen to be making a call, so let's say I'm going to make a direct outbound call from instead of contact center for some reason, or somebody called my direct line instead of through contact center. If you are on an Elevate call, so again, you'll notice my Elevate banner is blue instead of that orange. So that is how you differentiate between the types of calls that you're on. So whether you receive an incoming queue call, you'll know it's a contact center call by the color of the call bar. So now that I'm currently on a call, you'll see my status and my settings shows me that I'm currently on a call. For those of you, if you are viewing the monitoring screen at all as a manager, supervisor, etc., if you see an agent that is currently on a call, you will see the agent looking like this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up on my screen. Okay. So even though I am available as a contact center agent, you will see the agent showing up in the monitoring screen as available, but in the color red. Okay. So as a contact center agent, I am still available, but I am currently on the phone. You'll see as I hover over my status, it says on phone because I am currently on an Elevate call. Okay. So anytime you as an agent is busy doing something, as an Elevate user, maybe you're in a meeting, something like that, it will reflect your status, even though you are available as an agent here. It's going to show in the monitoring screen that you are currently busy as an Elevate user. So just to keep that in mind, the two statuses are synced, so it will update accordingly. The reason for this is that because I'm currently on a direct Elevate call, I don't want to have any incoming queue calls ringing to me because I'm already busy doing something else. Okay. Are there any questions on today's training or anything you would like me to cover again?
One thing I want to point out
Mm-hmm.
for our folks, uh,
Yep.
right now, this only for our tenant, for our Elevate and Microsoft tenant, this only
Uh-huh.
works within the standalone Elevate application. So if you are using the Elevate embedded in Teams add-on, that's not available on our tenant just yet. There is a beta open for this that is ongoing right now, but I would rather you guys not use a beta product in a production environment when possible. So to use this version of the application, you'll want to use the standard standalone Elevate and not use the Teams Microsoft Teams embedded version of Elevate when you're scheduled to take calls in the queue. Once that beta has concluded and it's ready for general availability, we'll get the Elevate embedded Teams app updated in our Microsoft tenant, and then you'll be able to use it all from one spot. But it's still right now, like I said, in beta. So
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, if there are no further questions, I'm going to stop the recording.
I came in
That's
late.
okay. Start over. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It I kind of heard that last part about the available within CCA and then direct calls within Elevate. That status does or does not change within CCA. Like if I'm looking at it from like a management view or a monitoring view.
In the monitoring view, you will see that the agent is available, but it'll
Okay.
show in the color of red instead of green. So currently, like when agents are available, they are going to
Yep.
be in the color green, but if they're busy, it'll show in the color red.
Perfect. Okay. I just want to make sure that. Yep. That's perfect.
Okay, great.
Question in reference to the Elevate app on the phone. Does this change anything for those who are on cell phones? Do they have an option to jump into a queue through the phone app, or is this only restricted to the desktop standalone application right now?
Jeremy, I don't know if you can help answer that
yeah,
question. I'm just not familiar
yeah,
how you guys are currently.
yeah, I can answer that.
Great.
So with this, if you're talking specifically, I mean, if you're talking specifically about your tele agents that man the after hours queue, you're going to continue to do that the same way you always have for now.
Okay.
But if we're talking about being able to use the soft phone application on an iOS or Android device to join queues, sign into the contact center, and make and receive calls via contact center, again, that is there's a beta development out for that right now, and it's not at general availability. Uh, Adam may be able to shine some light on this when that GA is supposed to be, although I don't know if he's the product development expert here. But my understanding is that functionality should be available by Q2, but it's not scheduled. I don't believe for Q1 release.
I only asked as I have an option on my Elevate app when I click my profile to join as a mobile agent. So I was just curious if
Yeah,
that's what that was or not.
no. I would
Okay.
not recommend doing that. So the problem with
Okay.
that, yeah, it does show join as an agent. The problem with doing so, it's not like that is not really teleagent on that application, and you really have no functionality of contact center when you do something like that. It's kind of just the same as today, where if you have the Elevate application on your phone and your phone rings as well as your desktop application at the same time, like you can answer it on there, but you have no contact center functionality at all in that
Okay.
sense. Yeah, it's not
No,
the
that makes
same kind
sense.
of thing. Yeah, we're not
Right.
quite there yet. Someday, one day, but no, not the same.
No, you're good. I see something shiny and I want to mess with it. So
Yeah,
you're good.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and I don't know exactly what the roadmap looks like at this point for Q1 or Q2 in terms of what you were saying, Jeremy. Sorry. If I had more insight,
Yeah.
I would happily share it, but you know how it goes with all the dev stuff at Intermedia. You've been working with us long enough that a lot of it they keep buttoned up from even a lot of the internal conversations so it doesn't get leaked
Yeah.
out, right? So
Yep, I get it. And yeah, that's gonna be coming. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's. I don't believe it's Q1. I believe Q2 is when the actual agent for the mobile devices is going to be coming out, where you'll be able to do contact center. One thing
right.
I want to also maybe just clarify for you supervisors, and this is stuff you should probably relay to your team too. But you're no longer going to have a dedicated contact center username and password. So your username and password is going to be your Microsoft credentials, just like what we have for the Elevate standalone application, and that also counts towards the portal. So the contact center portal, where you'll be able to log in and gets to the monitoring screen or manage your agents and things like that. That'll also work with your Microsoft credentials. So instead of having the dedicated credentials that you've had, you'll just be able to use your Microsoft credentials, and that URL is going to be changing. So when we go live with the update on the 8th, I will send you supervisor folks the changed URL.
Can I ask, Jeremy, um, in reference to the old contact center application, will that still be working or is that going to be completely like disabled or turned off? Just for some
It can
redundancy, because
work.
I know Bishes
It can
have had
work.
issues in the past. Okay.
It can work. Short answer is it'll operate in the same way that Bishes does, where they can use the integrated agent or they can use the standalone agent. So if you do have agents that prefer to use the standalone agent, that's certainly something they can do. I know some people maybe don't want to learn the new system. I would advise everybody jump over to it because I think it's a smoother, better experience for your agents. But long story short is yes, you can continue to use that old agent, and that old agent is incredibly handy in the event that in the rare event that Elevate itself goes down, and you may need to route calls to people's cell phones instead. So
One thing to note on that as well, Jeremy, is for the CCA, if you're going to continue maybe potentially using that going forward, is to go to your connection settings and change the account ID.
yeah, we'll have to change the account ID, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's something we'll have to cross.
Yeah.
I do see, and Jameson, to touch back on your join as mobile agent, I do see that as an option within my application too, and I ticked it on, and I'm showing that I'm available in our environment, and you did too. It looks like. I'm not sure what level of functionality that is, so I'll have to get that answer for you because that's a relatively new setting.
Definitely. No, thank you for that, Jeremy. And
Mhm.
not to say we're going to use it, but I just saw it and wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
um, Speaking to that point, though, Joey, I don't know what your plan is in terms of your team, but I think keeping the old app as a means of redundancy and pushing the guys to the new application is best. My biggest, I guess, constraint is that I've had all of our guys on our team utilizing the Elevate version of Teams, and that's obviously not out yet. So I'll cross that bridge. But do we know a firm timeline on when that will be live by
No,
chance?
not yet.
Okay.
No, they just released an update for the beta, I believe, a week or 2 weeks ago. And I haven't even put it on. I haven't even put the beta on the Microsoft account yet because I would prefer, and
Of
I think
course.
for obvious reasons, we want to keep our production environments using as much production, general availability for production quality software as we can instead of using beta clients for things. So I haven't even given it a look.
No, 100%. That makes complete sense to me. So I have no pushback or complaints on that. That's fine. When it goes live, though, I'm sure the guys will appreciate it. But I will, once this is all said and done, push the guys to use the Elevate app and see if they like this a little better, at least to get in the habit of it. So that sounds good with me. I don't think I have any more questions outside of the format of this meeting, though. I don't know, Joey, if you had anything else you wanted to add, or perhaps David.
No, it's fairly like straightforward. I mean,
Yeah.
compared to CCA, like this is like honestly, it's super nice. The like button layout, menu items. I mean, everything is just it's going to make life easier. Thing I actually like the most too is that because we have that call classification the old CCA, a lot of the times text would accidentally click out of that, and it would keep them in like a after call status or a busy
Mhm.
status after that call, and that drove me nuts. So having it not be able to get closed is I'm very happy about that. It just is
Yes.
right in their view. So yeah,
Yes.
I don't have any questions though.
Okay.
And it's worth noting too, Joey. This may give you maybe better, you, Jameson, and Jen, and this may give you guys better. I would encourage you to use the classifications more, and having them more easily accessible and not an afterthought, as sometimes it seems to be in some cases, might encourage you to use those classifications more, because that way you gather a lot more data at the contact center point instead of having to go through maybe ConnectWise tickets to get it.
Oh,
Um,
no, I couldn't agree more, Jeremy, with that. Like I ultimately right now where we're at, our contact center data tends to be a lot better, a lot cleaner than any other data we can usually gather. So those
right.
classifications have helped me out on a number of occasions, if done
Yeah.
properly. So I absolutely advocate for the same thing. I think we could absolutely expand on them for each team. I'm totally in favor of that, and that's something I definitely am looking at doing.
And one more note here. Jen has been traditionally the person who's been in charge of the contact center phone book. Her and I will probably go through that. Not probably, will for sure be going through that contact center phone book within the next few days before the 8th, to kind of strip out what will end up being extra data, because we have been kind of bridging a gap between contact center and Elevate within contacts. We're going to be, because we're bridging that gap, there's going to be less need for some of that information. So we'll figure out what that means in the long run, but hopefully that will also cut down on maybe some confusion when transferring to people within the new environment.
And then lastly, Jeremy, just one more question. In reference to data, we could still pull stuff up until I'd assume the 8th, or should we play it safe by the 7th? I know there's a possibility we might not lose it if I stand correct, but I should pull everything I need no later than the 7th, I assume.
I would pull any historical data no later than the 7th, and then at the end of business on the 8th. So I would pull any historical data you need from the 7th and before, at 5 p.m. on the 7th, and then pull at the 8th on the 8th from 8 on the 8th at 5 p.m. pull to 5 p.m. on the 7th, pull that 24-hour mark, and that'll give you all the data that happened on the old system, and that way you can archive it.
Perfect. I'll do that. Thank you.
Cool.
Yep.
Sweet.
I think that's everything. David, I think you're muted if you're talking. We can't hear you. You can talk to me though.
You might be double muted, buddy.
Yeah. He always has issues switching from platform to platform as well with his headset.
Don't we all?
Maybe throw it in chat here, David, or I can say something for you. You had a question. Oh, there we go. He sent me a message. Oh, he's just asking when the go live date is and if it applies to all of Fisher's or for each department.
The entire environment's going live. We're doing the migration on the 8th, starting at 3 p.m. our time. The total downtime should be less than 15 minutes, is what we're expecting, because we've already duplicated in the environment, but we're doing it at 3 p.m. just in case there may be technical hangups and we need to reroute and work on an emergency situation. But the 8th is the date the entire system's moving. Contact center system, I mean.
I had one more question too. How do we get access to this recording? Is it just going to get sent out through email, or do we have to
I'll get you a copy.
access to it?
I'll get you a copy of it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I'll probably put it up on our YouTube for future review too, if we need to.
Fantastic. I love it.
Okay. There's nothing further. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll send it to Jeremy after I receive this.